Welcome back to the Graphite Curve Studio. Today we'll be drawing a portrait of a woman that turned out a lot better than I expected. As always, we'll begin with our line drawing, still taking every opportunity to use the techniques we've picked up in the Loomis method. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's really the only way we learn. I'll just keep moving the pencil, trying to locate where the line goes next. Everything involved in drawing is always made of simple shapes, blocks, and spheres. We only make things as complicated as we want. When I was a teenager, I never would have imagined that I'd be able to draw like this, but I always wanted to. And I knew that I would eventually get there. It was simply a matter of dealing with my own impatience and inconsistency. Impatience because I always wanted to be good now, not later. So when each drawing was my best, but not the best, I was discouraged. I didn't have long-term vision back then. And by long-term vision, I mean the ability to see where the path is taking me. I can only see where I was. And that isn't the best mentality to have, especially when you're learning something that's really going to improve your life. This is my creative outlet. This is how I deal with stuff. There's nothing better to me than waking up at 4 a.m., setting up the paper, putting on some ambient music, and starting. In the moment, it feels hard, and that I'm not good enough. And everything in me wants to be perfect now. But then you hit the flow state, and the only thing that kicks you out of it is the camera needing attention. When my dad passed away, I would sit on my bed and draw for hours. No interruptions. Being happy that you drew a great face or a really good hand, and then finding out you're thirsty because you haven't drank anything in a long while. Nowadays, it's kind of hard to get that kind of flow. Either it's the SD card filling up, the battery dying, the music finishing. Because of these distractions, I've taken to using the Pomodoro technique. Working 20 minutes, because that's usually the limit of one video on my camera. Taking a break for 5 minutes, walking around the house, checking on my uploads to YouTube, or grabbing a drink. Then start the camera again and get back to work. I found this technique very useful for taking a break before something distracts me. Being ahead of the camera timer helps me to feel in control, rather than at the mercy of the camera. It also allows me to rest my hands. Sometimes when drawing very dark parts, such as the hair on brunettes, I tend to grip the pencil too tightly, and that doesn't feel great on my joints. But taking our time while drawing is key. There will always be deadlines and distractions, but if our art is going to be worth something, we need to give it as much time as it needs to be its best. Just like making a drawing like this takes time, learning to draw takes time. I still can't draw from imagination very well, but I try. And I know it'll take time. I taught myself how to draw what I see, I can teach myself how to draw what I can think. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. With the way that the world is structured today, it often feels like there's not enough time to do much of anything. Emails, texts, notifications, social media, all screaming out for your attention. But when I'm drawing early in the morning, I can focus. The phone is in another room. Everyone's still asleep. The house is quiet. And I can work. I love those moments. Before everyone wakes up and everything gets crazy. It was still very early in the morning when I was working on this one. The sun hadn't even come up yet. I got a lot done, which is why everything above the shoulders looks great. But all wasn't calm for long. In mid-June, a tropical storm was headed our way. My mom had asked a roofing company to redo an extension for our patio that my dad had built when we first moved in, as it had been standing for almost 15 years and was poorly constructed. It began to leak everywhere when it rained. Well, with this tropical storm coming, they agreed to tear it down before the storm, so it wouldn't damage anything. They got it down in about an afternoon, on a day when I wasn't in the studio. At the time of recording, the storm had passed. The roofers said that they would be there tomorrow, which is the day that I would be recording this drawing. But what we didn't know was that they would be starting as soon as the sun came up. I was in the middle of drawing peacefully in my studio, when all of a sudden it begins. I completely forgot that my studio was on the other side of the patio wall. Bang, 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 hammers, nail guns, circular saws. I couldn't focus even with my headphones. If you ever had someone work on your roof, you probably know what I mean. I didn't want to leave the drawing unfinished. Though looking at it now, how it turned out, I think it would have been better off if I did. At least part of it. I don't blame them. They did what they were paid to do. And they did a really great job making a new roof that still had the same design as my dad's had, only now it doesn't leak. It's just another story for the channel and for the sketchbook. When I look at it, especially the right breast, I'll always remember that that was the day that the construction company began working on our new patio roof. When I look at the breasts, I think the left one was done by current me, and the right one looks like I was drawn by my teenage self. I'll show you an example of a high school drawing that I hope to redo with my current skills. It turned out better than I expected. I tried my best with the time that I had. But when I look at this drawing, I'll always remember that I was almost done. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to see more. Take care, and God bless.